Elko Live Time now here on Elko's Hometown Radio. I'm Lori Gilbert, and it's such a great day. It's Tuesday, and of course the day we set aside to get caught up in Elko City news. And we have our assistant city manager alongside city manager. We have Jan Baum, our city manager, and you have brought with you the new assistant city manager, Jan. Thank you.
Absolutely, my pleasure, of course. And I guess I just realized this is the first time Dale and I have been on the show together. So, yes, we're so fortunate to have Dale Johnson as the assistant city manager. And boy, has he ever hit the ground running.
Well, Dale, congratulations. You have obviously been an important part of the team at City Hall as the utilities director, and I'm sure you feel pretty good that department's in capable hands in your absence.
Yeah, it is. Jim Kerr took over the utilities department, so he will be a great asset to that team.
And in the meantime, as your city manager, our city manager, Janice, suggested, there's a lot going on. And we're going to get caught up on a few of these ongoing issues with you, Dale, because you've kind of taken on that, with a team approach, obviously, but overseeing many of the things. We'll go over with Jan what's kind of on the agenda for today, right, Jan? There's a few little topics that we should mention for sure.
Absolutely, yes. So like you said, we have a long agenda, but nothing real controversial on here. But a lot of things that we need direction from council on, and I'm sure they'll give it to us.
So one thing that is not on the agenda, we should make sure listeners are aware, if you're following along on the golf net issue at the golf course regarding the LDS temple, that is not on the agenda today.
No, it is not on the agenda. So the process with that has been that the golf net proposal, conditional use permit, CUP, was brought and presented to the Planning Commission a couple weeks ago, or first Tuesday, I believe, in July. So it was like the 1st of July, I believe. And anyway, there was a good discussion about the net, and the Planning Commission voted to deny the conditional use permit. And so I believe the Planning Commission, or the Planning Department, Kathy Laughlin and her department, they did receive an appeal to that decision. And an appeal of that kind will need to be a public hearing, and it has to be published in the paper. And so in order to give that timeline for the publishing in the paper, and then of course get on the agenda for the City Council, that will be on the next City Council meeting. And we actually have 3 weeks in between meetings this time, and so it'll be the second Tuesday in August.
All right, so more to come on that, but we just wanted to make sure listeners were aware. It is an ongoing issue and something important to the community, Jan, so thank you for bringing us up to date.
Absolutely, yes, it is an important subject, and there's a lot of input, and so if people, whether they're in favor of the net or not in favor of the net, will definitely want to have input on that item.
All right. Thank you again. Of course, we're talking with Jan Baum, our Elko City Manager, and that is in advance of this afternoon's regular council meeting. We're going to make some adjustments so that we can get Dale's microphone up and running, because apparently it's not you, it's something about the microphone. So we will test that out, Dale. And if
I can always hand him mine.
Exactly. I think we're going to end up sharing at that point too. But we'll go over the agenda. So thank you for the heads up from the listener about that mic issue. I could hear him in my headphones. So let's look at what is on the agenda today. There is something called an indebtedness report, and that's at the top of the consent agenda, Jan.
Yes. So these 3 reports that Julie Davis will be presenting, and actually they're on the consent agenda. It's something that we do every year. It's required by the state and the county. So the indebtedness report, the debt management report or policy, and then the capital improvement plan. So all 3 of those are on the consent agenda, and by regulation, we need to be reporting our debt that we have with the city of Elko, or that the city of Elko has. And currently, I believe we have We have the street bond, which was used years ago, and I believe it expires in 2030. We use that to reconstruct Idaho Street. And then there's a recreation bond that we also got years ago, and I believe that was primarily for the sports complex and beginning those 3 fields in that complex. And then the third debt we have is the SRF, which is the state revolving fund for the meter project. And Dale is very familiar with that and led us through that process and led us into the meter project where the city council made the decision to meter the entire city. And so we're in the middle of that project and it's going pretty well. Of course, there's some snags along the way, but we are definitely getting, they're rolling those meters out, and that department that Jim Kerr is now supervising along with Andrew Storla, they're doing a great job.
Thank you, Jan, for the update on those top of the agenda items. The council will meet in regular session beginning at 4 o'clock today. Now, something that really jumps out to that we should mention, that Julie is going to make a presentation, the C taxes, the decline. This is actually pretty serious, Jan.
Absolutely. She did a really nice graph that is short and sweet, but tells the story. And so the consolidated tax for the city of Elko makes up about 60 to 65% of our revenue that the city of Elko receives. And I would think that in the future, with the ARPA funds being spent and interest income decreasing, it'll be a bigger percent of our revenue for the city of Elko. And so it's alarming, and it's definitely a hit to the city of Elko. Currently, July through May of 2024 versus 2025. 2025 is down about $1.6 million, which is one big month of sales tax for us, and so it's a big hit. And so when we presented the budget to City Council, we we were very clear that sales tax is declining. We don't know if there's problems at the state. They have changed their software, and I'm not sure if we're just not getting everything, but they are assuring us that we are getting everything, and that there is a little bit of a timing difference, but I think the timing difference should have come out in the wash, per se, by now. And so anyway, it is alarming. We're concerned. I know that there are other communities that are also concerned. Somebody was giving us a presentation yesterday, our investment representative, and when we were visiting with him, I inquired if he has other clients that are concerned the same as we are, and they said absolutely, most definitely. So yeah, it's concerning. Wages are the biggest part of our budget, and wages aren't going down, and if the revenue is going down, adjustments might need to be made in the future.
Jan Baum is our city manager, and she also, we have the advantage in that she is the former financial services director for the city, so she understands the gravity of these figures, as well as the care that the city takes in comparing these numbers and also crafting a budget for the future. It's scheduled today on the agenda. It's a non-action item. It is an update to keep the council apprised of the decreased revenue and the fluctuations month to month, which again is just the biggest concern.
Absolutely, and we get questions about it, or Julie does on occasion, and so I'm sure that this will be an item that we have on the agenda periodically to keep council informed on where sales tax is landing or where we're trending.
All right, Jan, thank you. Again, it's not an agenda item in which there's action, but it's certainly, it's bound to generate some discussion, I think, today, Jan, but with the council and mayor.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay. So that's near the top of the agenda. I want to make sure we get to all the various items that our Assistant City Manager, Dale Johnson, has brought to the table today as well, because there's a lot. There is an agenda item. I think, Jan, that the request by Boys and Girls Clubs of Elko needed to appear on a subsequent agenda so that they can actually start getting the money and paying some bills on the recreation and aquatics center that's nearing completion.
Absolutely. So, oh gosh, I don't know. A couple months ago, I guess, Rusty Barr came and gave a presentation telling us that it looks like the recreation center should be completed by the end of the year, opened in January, which will be wonderful. The city of Elko will be out of the pool business, and thank heavens our pool, I think, is hanging on, and we'll make it through that timeline. And so, but the city council had committed to the Boys and Girls Club to give $1.8 million towards the Boys and Girls Club Recreation Center. I believe it's called the NGM Boys and Girls Rec Center. And anyway, the first $900,000 was given in fiscal year 2025, and the second $900,000 was supposed to be given at C of O. But of course, the cash was probably needed before that. And so at the last council meeting, the council chose to go forward with a new payment plan of $700,000 prior to September of 2025. And the second, and then $200,000 at C of O. So there's an amended resolution there, and so we will present that. And once council approves, we'll get that first payment of $700,000 to the Boys and Girls Club.
And that money will generate in the community. We hope so, certainly, because there'll be the contractors, all the workers will be paid, and that's part of the project. I mean, is generating as much in the local economy as possible, Jan, paying the taxes on the materials received. Boys and Girls Clubs is a nonprofit, but with this arrangement, we also avoid paying the prevailing wage. So that's significant.
Yes, because the facility will not belong to the city of Elko. So yes, we gave a donation to the organization to assist, but the property will not belong to the city of Elko. And so it is exciting. It's really moving. So it's cool to see the building taking shape and has a roof and some walls, and it's large.
It is. It's
really
bigger than
large.
I wasn't. Yeah, I'm always surprised when I come around the corner. So it's going to be great to see it and to see the little kids splashing and having a great time. And the Elko swim team, the Anacondas, using that facility. They're just doing great things.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Competitions.
Right, and they have a talented group, and it'll be nice for them to have that pool. I believe there'll be a warmer pool for some open swim, but then there'll be a cooler pool just for things like lap swimming and the swim team. So it'll be great. It'll be a great facility.
More to come on that. So looking forward to that opening in 2026. Anything else, Jan, that really jumps out on the agenda? I mean, it's all important stuff, and we're going to.
It is important, but you're right. There's just there's a lot of items on here that are just the city of Elko doing business, and then we need council direction, but at the same time, I don't think there's a lot of controversy on there. I did want to give one update from James Wiley, our recreation director. Next week, we will be starting with the tennis courts in the main city park. They will get a new resurfacing on them, and so I believe that will take place next week. And so I just wanted to give that heads up. If anybody is going to use the tennis courts, they might need to go over and use the ones on the south side of the railroad tracks, because the one in City Park will be getting resurfaced.
Thanks, Jan, for the update. And of course, James is great to come on and tell us about all the, good, she's going to switch over. We're going to see what we can do. She's scooching back. See, she knows how this radio stuff works. We will make some repairs on that third microphone in the interim. Dale, welcome.
Thanks, Lori.
It's great to see you in this capacity, and your stack is bigger than Jan's stack. Is that how it works to be an assistant city manager? That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a pretty big sack of stuff to go through.
So I want to make sure, because we do have our list of things to update listeners. Some of the things are people may be most curious about. They're a little inconvenient. It's like, why is all this construction going on? But is there anything on the agenda for today's meeting that opens at 4 o'clock that you want to make sure that we're mentioning before we get into the thick of it?
Maybe the retirement of Mike Adnaham at the wastewater facility. He's been with the city for 26 years and is retiring.
Oh, congratulations. Yeah, to Mike. So,
Yeah.
and that is a very important job. We don't hear a lot about the wastewater treatment facility, and that's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
Yes. Yes, definitely. So 26 years. So has he been in the lab? He's been managing it? Or?
He's been the superintendent for probably the last 10 or so years. And then prior to that, he was the assistant superintendent and then one of the operators.
Well, that's great. And obviously there's maybe a replacement lined up for him.
There is a replacement that was actually announced today. The new WRF superintendent will be Scott Dance. He's one of the operators out there.
Well, that's wonderful. It's always nice to hear about a succession plan. Yes,
That's right.
Because it certainly worked for the city of Elko in your case as well, Dale. So, congratulations, Mike. Whatever your hobby or avocation is, we wish you the best and hope you enjoy that. And thank you for everything you did for 26 years to keep the wastewater treatment facility up and running the way it does. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, and that acknowledgement will be on the council meeting. So let's see, should we get an update in the RDA sidewalk restoration project, which seems so much more these days?
Yeah, the RDA project is ongoing. A lot of work going on down there. Storm drain work, irrigation systems, new power for those irrigation systems. Closing up those tunnels that were found. That's been ongoing. The walls were put up last week, and they were doing the slurry this morning to fill the voids.
And there's a little work on 4th Street, just around the block, right? Does that have to do with storm drain stuff?
That does have to do with storm drain. That storm drain was deteriorated in that area, and it was originally a portion of the project, so they were just extending the new storm drain out there.
And all of this infrastructure that's going in, because again, we've been talking about it as a sidewalk restoration, but there's so much that's going in underground in the utilities, improving the water supply, for example.
Yep, there's been a lot of water work over there as well. We actually abandoned the main line there in 4th Street, or I guess it's commercial, or railroad there. It had some issues and few breaks there. So we abandoned a portion of that and ran some new services and got everything up and running.
So we were hoping that the first phase would take about a month or so. Are we on track? A little behind?
I think we're a little behind our initial thoughts of a month per block. They've definitely found some surprises on this one. And, there were some things we knew that would come up, but there's definitely been additional.
All right. So it's about a $1.2 million think restaurant. Yep. Jan's nodding. She knows her figures. Maybe 2.2. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
No, it didn't get cheaper. It got 2. That's right. The first round was 1 point. Now it's 2.2. Anything else that you do want listeners to know about that other than, it's progressing?
Hopefully midweek they'll be setting some forms there along railroad, and hopefully we'll see some concrete going down in the next week or so.
All right. And then the next time we talk, hopefully we can start shifting into phase 2, right?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Hopefully going across the street to commercial and between 4th and 5th.
Okay. So you can still visit those businesses, and please do. It seems like businesses usually, people have, been navigating the construction, right?
Yep, they've been able to access.
Good.
The contractor's done a pretty good job of making sure those entry points are open and people can take care of their business.
All right. Speaking of taking care of business, 12th Street with the bridge, I guess there's a lot of maintenance that needs to be done there.
Yep, that project's going really well. We're actually on the tail end of it already, which is pretty good news. They did go into day work this week. Monday and Friday this week, they'll be doing painting along the guardrails there. And then Wednesday, Thursday, they're going to be doing the sill joints. During that portion where they're doing those sill joints, they will keep 2 lanes of traffic open during the day, but they will be splitting traffic throughout the day. So if you drive on it at 8 a.m., there may be a different traffic pattern at noon. So people should look forward to that and try to maneuver those new traffic patterns throughout the day.
Well, that's really good news, Dale. I mean, it's progressing without a lot of drama. I mean, I don't want to jinx anything, but yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and then next Monday they got some more painting to do, and then Wednesday they should be paving.
Okay.
Yep.
And then it'll be so nice and smooth. Yeah.
It should be pretty smooth, and then the following Wednesday they'll do the pavement markings, and that'll be it for the project.
Dale Johnson is our guest alongside our city manager, Jan Baum. Dale is our assistant city manager, and we're getting an update on some of the projects that are ongoing this summer. They're not necessarily on the agenda for today's meeting, so just a little extra information today. So you left midstream in the water modernization plan. So, but how's that going in your absence, Dale?
That project's going good. Jim Kerr and Andrew Storla have really taken the project on and ran with it. They are currently installing meters in the Mountain View area. They have had some issues with meter pits breaking and things like that, so they're dealing with those occasionally. The leak detection portion of the project's ongoing. Mm-hmm. We are monitoring that. It is set up on the south side of town, so.
Oh, good. I think that's the biggest apprehension. The thing that I hear in the community most is, well, what happens? I get the water meter, and then all of a sudden I get this extraordinary bill. Anxiety goes up. Is the plumber get called? You know, what's the process? Can you reassure us at all, Dale, or give us some information?
So when the actual system's set up, when we have the towers in place, we will be able to know if the customer has a leak or things like that on their property. Right now, as we are just installing the meters and before the tower system gets put up, if you do have a high bill, I would recommend checking your sprinkler systems, leaky toilets, looking for leaks on your property. Always give us a call. We are glad to go out and help. Talk with our finance department, and they can point you in the right direction of what needs to be done from there.
Because if there's a leak and it's on your property, you're responsible for that, right?
That's right.
Okay. So, if there's a downside, that's really it, because otherwise this water modernization plan, it's done. The intention is to save water, which is so important. We're in a 20-year mega drought. People need to understand that. This is the high desert. And in order to grow, we have to have adequate water. And it's also done to equalize the rates that people pay, because if you have a flat rate for a water, you may be paying much more than your neighbor who, say, has a family of 5, and if you're just a senior citizen. So it's also done to equalize who pays for their water.
That's right. And we've found a bunch of leaks on customers' properties already from just installing the meters. They can see their usage has gone up, and a lot of them are being proactive and fixing irrigation systems and leaky toilets and things like that. So
okay,
it is pretty much a wake-up call to a lot of people who didn't know they had leaks, and they do.
All right. Well, Dale, thanks again for reminding us. The water modernization, the installation of meters marches on, and every day it gets a little closer to your neighborhood, right?
It does.
All right. Probably tree streets will be last, just because it's the oldest infrastructure.
They are going to be last because those are the areas where we have to put in all brand new meter pits. So yep, we're focusing on the homes with actual meter pits in the ground already.
All right. And because they are tree streets, there are a lot of old established trees with very deep, thirsty roots. Sometimes
That's
that causes
correct.
problems.
It does. It can wrap up around those water lines and break them. And again, you may not know you have a leak, and you do.
All right, Dale. Well, thanks. We'll just keep reminding people that we're all in this together. We're going to get through it. So I live in an older house too, so I'm just anticipating coming home and having my yard dug up one afternoon. So
Well, we're going to try to
Yeah.
keep that as less evasive as possible.
Oh, good.
And before we get to new homes, we are putting door hangers up and giving the residents advance notice that we'll be working in their area.
okay, so keep the dogs in or whatever it is that you need to do.
Yeah.
Good to know. So moving on, there is a process known. It's slurry sealing season, right, Dale? Tell us about
it's
that.
a yearly project we do at the street department. It's the micro slurry project. This year we have 49 streets on the list with 4 parking lots. A lot of those streets are in the south side of town. There's Front Street, South 6th, 5th, I think 7th and 8th are both on there. Lyon Avenue, Clarkson Drive, there's a bunch over there. And then there's many streets throughout, just sporadically through town. Cedar Street's on the list this year. Obviously, we redid that street just a few years back, but keep those streets tidied up and buttoned up so the water's not getting down underneath the pavement. This will help protect them in the future.
So, Dale, we also want to remind people, I mean, the beauty of slurry is it's relatively inexpensive. It is this great maintenance. It does dry quickly, and people do need to avoid driving on it.
Yeah, you don't want to drive on it until it's dry. It is a quick setting material, but once you start turning on it, driving on it's going straight's one thing. When you start turning, when it's still wet, it tears it up really bad. So,
And it's bad for your vehicle.
and it's bad for your vehicle. It gets all over everything. So,
Yeah, so do avoid those. It's orange cone season everywhere, everybody. We're all in the same city, driving the same streets. So,
and again with that, there'll be residences will be noticed prior to the street being done, asking people not to park on the street. So they'll have to make arrangements to move their cars and things like that while the project's
RVs,
being going.
boats,
Exactly.
Ski-Doos, something parked there since 1970, whatever
Yep,
it is.
yep.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
if those are moved out of the way, then we don't have to deal with them. So.
Okay, Dale. The last thing I have on my list for us to talk about is Exit 298. Some progress there?
There is a little bit of progress. A lot of materials are still on order. There were long lead times on a bunch of items, especially electrical equipment, things like that.
Can you remind us, is this the lift or the water?
This is the lift station
Okay, thank
for
you.
the sewer.
Okay, lift for sewer. Yes, but it's huge to growth
It's-
out
it-
there.
Yep, it's a huge project. It's a very large lift station that'll be able to take in all the sewer for that whole area out there, Section 18 included. The force mains, just over 2 miles of pipe that got to go in the ground. So
A lot more construction to
Yep.
come.
It's a big project, really expensive, and that's being funded by our sewer fund. So there was no grant funding or anything.
No
involved in it.
bonding.
No bonding or anything like that.
Yeah, that's responsible city government right there. I mean, I've been sitting in the seat for a long time, so I'm just telling the community that is very responsible. And again, thank you, late Lee Hoffman, for having the vision to do the things that were hard at the time and maybe not popular, but just like water modernization. It's the responsible thing to do.
Yeah, and we will be starting our weekly meetings for that project this week. So it should be kicking off once again. So hopefully we'll start getting some progress and construction done.
Section 18 could be huge in opening up more commercial development, certainly, but we're also looking, I mean, the commercial or industrial development would bookend, but the infill could be all kinds of housing, affordable housing.
Residential,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then obviously the commercial industrial down by exit 298.
Yeah, that's key. So that's out there by Komatsu and their giant expansion, right?
Yep. That was a great project for the city. just this last couple of years. So.
Well, Dale, I think you'll have to come back now in your new capacity. Any time that Jan says, "Hey, Dale, we covered the show today. Will that work for you?" I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do we get to all your topics today?
I think so.
Okay. Jana, any closing remarks from you? She's okay. She's good to go. The city council meets at 4:00 this afternoon. Again, the big topic will be the $1.6 million that we are off in sales tax revenue. Julie, thanks for keeping us apprised of that. Julie Davis is the financial services director, and it's very important that we stay on top of this issue. It's happening in the city, the county, and other cities and counties throughout the state. So it's something that we really need to figure out what's going on with that. I mean, obviously, we can have a separate program with maybe local business leaders. I'm sure that there is some concern about what's happening on a national environment, but it just doesn't seem likely or logical that it would happen that fast and in this period of time. So it's got to be another explanation. Dale, thank you for being on the program.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you, listeners, for joining us for Elko Live today.